this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
Good morning, everybody. This is Get It Right Texoma.
Guten Morgen, as they say in Germany.
Germany, okay. Well, good, because that's too difficult to say that early in the morning, or this early in the morning. So I'm Terry.
And I'm Trey.
And we are here.
And this is Mike right here.
Yep,
He's our podcast partner in the sky. We always remember Mike and love him and miss him.
Yep, we're here every Friday morning, 7:30, Facebook and YouTube. Please share, like, hit the buttons, and, bells and all that good stuff.
Be sure to subscribe. That's the big thing.
Well, you're right. And that's the subscribe.
Yeah. I think next week, this week, we have Donny Lee, Wichita Falls ISD Superintendent's going to be in with us. I think next week I'm going to go through the whole list. We're booked up literally into December now.
Yep.
We have guests every Friday, I think until December or until late November.
Yeah, and it's lots of movers and shakers.
Oh yeah, we're not talking about the knitting club. I'm not being mean to them or the underbottle basket weaving club. We're talking about people that are movers and shakers and people that are not only influential, but they are part of what's going on in our city, in our county, in our community.
That's it, man. So as we said, please
The word community is really overused. Everybody's got a damn community now. I kind of get tired of that. When I say community, I mean literally the physical part of our community. But people talk about my community, and they're talking about some group of people. Their community could be in Walla Walla, Washington, or something like that. Like, no, your community is the area where you live. That's a community.
All right. Well, be sure and
that's what Sesame Street said.
That's right. Big yellow bird. So anyway, this is Get It Right Texoma, and we got Donny Lee coming up here shortly.
That's right.
But as we always do in the mornings, first thing is to get right into the restaurant focus.
Yeah, local restaurant focus. This is
that I didn't get loaded, so
yeah.
We missed that step. But go ahead.
And this is the City Café in Iowa Park. You think you're gonna be able to do this real quick?
Yeah, I can do
We'll
this.
see it. See what your
City Café.
Iowa Park.
Iowa, I can spell that.
Yeah.
Okay, I can.
And there you go, right there, the City Café in Iowa Park. They've been around for a long time. I don't know how many years they've been around, but it's been a long, long time. And your website, you're going to accept those cookies?
Yeah, I'll accept. I can move the little thing out of the way, but yeah, there we go.
There we go. Okay. So now this is the neat thing about them is this is a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. A lot of places we talk about are breakfast. Yep, breakfast, lunch, or lunch and dinner. This is breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 8 a.m. to scroll back up. There's the hours. 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Closed on Saturdays and Sundays. So 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, you can go in. This is real good comfort food. This used to be one of the favorites of my my daughter's great grandfather, and we used to take him to the City Café in Iowa Park every Wednesday when he was alive. And home cooking, it's family owned. They have to-go orders. But their food is wonderful. I don't know if there's any pictures of their food. Probably, yeah, click on the menu up there. Yeah, there you go. Great burgers, great chicken fried. Their chicken fried steak is really good. I've had that before. They have pies there. Their breakfast is really good. Home-style good cooking. And it's a good value. And it's right there in Iowa Park. It's real easy to find. It's on, I don't remember the name of the street because I don't live in Iowa Park. But it's on the main part of the main street in Iowa Park, Cash Street, which is basically Main Street in Iowa Park. And so if you're going down Old Iowa Park Road, you just turn real quick right there to get on West Cash. It's 1 block off Old Iowa Park Road.
And don't pay attention to the picture.
Why?
10 a.m.
Yeah, they were 10 a.m., but they've opened up. They were just a lunch and or brunch and dinner, and they've opened up to 6 a.m. now. So, City Café, Iowa Park, it's right down the road if you're in Wichita Falls, or if you're in the area, swing by the City Café and get you a really good hot meal.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. So, then we will...
A little bit of talk about this, the Hotter Than Hell coming up. We just want to remind everybody that the Hotter Than Hell is on the way, and it's going to be at the end of this month, which is, I don't have the date in front of me. This is great podcasting, isn't it?
Yeah, you can
29th. So it's the 29th, but it's really that week.
You're right.
There's all kinds of stuff that's going on that week. We had Chip was in here a few weeks ago talking about it, and I think that their registrations are on pace to do better than the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, well they put a big effort into it this year. So
Right.
They got a big ad campaign grant, I believe, or something, and so they've been really working hard. It won't happen overnight, but they're on a rebuild, I think.
Right.
And I think they're really getting the branding and they got a new website. I mean, they've been after it.
Yeah, well, I saw Chip, and of course, he was on with us several weeks ago, and I saw him on the social space that Jackie Hager and, of course, Steve Garner are on at times, and he was talking about some new things that came up. And one of them is, I believe it's the week before, like the Saturday before, they're going to look it up on the web, but I just want to put it in people's minds. They're going to have like a pre-race or a pre-thing, an event at Midwestern State, and like a community event. And I believe it's at that event they're going to sell all of their old merchandise that they've had saved, that they didn't sell. They're going to basically put it all out for sale, so you can get old jerseys and hats and koozies or whatever the hell they got to sell. But that was something that was just recently announced. It wasn't. I don't think all that had been decided when Chip was here.
Okay.
So anyhow, just wanted to throw that out there. But I don't know where you find. Anyhow,
Wow.
go to HH100. HH100.org.
I do know that.
HH100.org.
Okay, we take care of their IT stuff now.
So you ought to know then.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. It talks about there's the countdown, but there all the events that are going to happen. And it's a full week of events. There's a lot of riding. It's not just the ride itself. There's criterium races downtown. There's all kinds of stuff. There's an off-road race.
It goes right by my house. I mean, literally.
Yeah,
right
the trail.
corner. Yep.
Yeah. So check it out. It's something to be excited about. If you've never experienced going down there when it starts, I highly recommend doing that. It's a great time. We're going to be sitting at Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles. Yeah. We're going to be podcasting live.
That be our first attempt at
live streaming there, yeah. But it's really cool because you sit there and the bicycles, if you're where we are at Eddie Hills, the bicycles are starting to get going. Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot of motion, a lot of colors. You kind of occasionally have to close your eyes or look away. That's a nice thing about it. It's almost like an IMAX theater. If it gets a little bit, if you get a little queasy or something in IMAX, all you got to do is shut your eyes and it all changes. All right. So, Hotter Than Hell. Check it out if you're at all interested. And if you're not interested, just stay the hell out of the way. For it's one day, we're closing. Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles closes. We can't get in down there. Right. You and I are going to have to get in there way before the crack of dawn to be able to get in. Okay. But it's a great event. It's really good for Wichita Falls. And if it's something you're not interested in and you don't want to be involved in, just find out where the bikes are going and stay out of there. And that way it's not an inconvenience for you.
But ultimately, it does bring in quite a bit of money into the city because you got the hotels, you got the registrations, you got.
It's a great thing for the city of Wichita Falls. It's a huge economic impact. Somebody did a study on just Hotter Than Hell, and I don't remember the number, so I'm not going to quote it, but it was a significant number. Oh
yeah, absolutely. So,
Hotter Than Hell. Keep it up. It's the end, or keep an eye on it. It's the end of the month.
Yeah. All right. So what do we got next?
Couple things. This first one. If you haven't seen this, there's a video out there, and you can go find it. It's Governor Maura Healey of Massachusetts signs a bill. She's got surrounded by people. She signs a bill, and people go crazy, and they're clapping and stuff. Look, I don't care where you stand on the abortion. I absolutely don't care. Everybody's got their own personal belief on that, and I'm probably less conservative than a lot of my friends are on abortion. But it becomes the 10th state in the union to remove gestational age limits. In other words, abortions up to birth are now legal in Massachusetts. Now, and I don't mean abortions up to birth only if the baby or the mother are in jeopardy. Right. I mean abortions up to birth
by choice.
By choice by the mother and the healthcare professional. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry. This is infanticide.
Celebrate it and to make such a.
That's what pisses me off.
For people to go, wait, now what was it before?
I don't know what the rule was before, but it really doesn't matter. The fact is, it goes into the look. Anybody who's is, in my opinion, reasonable about abortion, whatever you think it is, some people say conception. I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that there is a period of time. Yes, conception is conception. I believe there's a period of time that I would not be against for outlawing abortion 100%. I think there needs to be guardrails and that sort of thing. But I cannot imagine. I am absolutely not in favor of abortion being done after a relatively short period of time. You know, I don't know, 9 weeks, 30, 20 weeks, or whatever the hell. There's a lot of ideas and stuff out there.
It seemed to be
but third trimester for damn sure, and especially up to birth.
Right.
Because to me, what this means is, if you wait 3 minutes, it's murder.
Oh, I know.
But 3 minutes before, you can actually murder. I mean, you're charged with murder.
Right,
but 3 minutes more, you're okay.
Active labor. And
yes.
I mean, let's be real about that. What are the chances that somebody's going to wait?
I'm not saying.
No, I know.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's probably not it. But yeah, I think what's going to happen is it just gives somebody a little bit longer to make that decision to put it off.
Well, but it's not just. And do I think that people are probably going to do a lot of them that are not endangering somebody right before birth? Right. Probably not. But third trimester. Yeah. And by the way, a baby can live outside the womb in the third trimester. Oh, absolutely. And to me, when a baby is a viable baby, in other words, if that baby can be removed, in most cases can be removed and put in an incubator and nursed back, then that to me, that's before any time after that, it shouldn't be legal.
Right. I think it's interesting how there are a number of people, like there's this comedian who's, if you listen to him, I mean, he can be pretty crude at times, but he talks about this. He says, I get that, choice and all this other stuff, but also get that if you left a baby alone to normally develop in the womb, it's like he compares it to a cake. He says if you bake the cake, put it, and because that's always the bun in the oven or whatever I've heard.
Right.
Things. But anyway, if you let the cake go, it will be. I mean, the batter becomes a cake. Well, if you just let the baby go through its normal, it's going to become a baby. And he says, I have a problem with that. And I just think is that not just the most logical?
Oh, it is.
Take all the emotion in the world out of it. And if you just let it go, just let it form. Now, I will tell you, I don't like Texas's law. I think it is too strict. I really do. I'm not for it. And I also don't like the legal gymnastics that they do to get there, because it's not really against the law, but it's a civil. I don't remember the whole thing, but it's legal. But an individual can sue. It's legal gymnastics, and I don't like it. I don't think it's right. I think it's too extreme on the other side of it. Like I said, I'm probably less conservative on the abortion issue than many of my friends are, but I am still very conservative about the abortion issue. Right. What did Bill Clinton famously say? Safe, legal, and rare. Yeah. And I don't know that I quite believe in that, but I believe I'm somewhere in there. But I'm open. I would be open to discussions. I think what we have is too extreme, and I think this is way too extreme on the other side. I think that at some point you got to cut it off and say, unless you can prove medically that the baby or the mother's life is in danger, then King's X, you're going to carry this baby the rest of the term. Yeah. So anyhow, and this bullshit about it's the woman's choice. Well, no, so does that mean that a woman can? Okay, let me ask you a question. If a woman has a 3-year-old and they get pissed off at it, can they kill it? Right. No,
that's a woman's choice. Yeah. It's her baby.
Well, and the only difference is it's within the womb versus out of the womb.
Yeah, and
you could decide you could kill it. In this case, you could kill the baby right before, but
right after.
That's why I think there's guardrails. Yeah. Yes. Do I believe? Yes, there is a huge part of it is a female's choice. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have a choice under any circumstances. There needs to be guardrails. I've got a whole thing I've thought about that. I haven't really talked about it on this program, but anyhow, I think it's disgusting. Not just that the bill was signed, but the glee. And this should not be happy times.
Well, right. I mean, it's such a because what they're doing is they're celebrating the rights, the woman's rights to make that choice. But here's the other thing, two things. One is that what about when the father has no say,
right,
at all,
and they were part of it.
They have responsibility.
Yeah.
If they have.
I was going to say if you're going to make somebody have financial responsibility, they ought to have some sort of input. I'm not saying they've got the ultimate. And by the way, how many of those people that were in that group there that were cheering her on because of women's rights would be okay with a transgender athlete in the locker room with their daughters?
Right. Well, but for it to go to go from, I think it said after 24 weeks was before the signing of this.
Okay.
And with strict 4-pronged framework requiring statutory justifications.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. So they had 24 weeks.
They had much more reasonable, where it was 24 weeks. There was some guardrails. You can't just decide to have a baby, or you can't do it on a whim. Abortion's on demand. I've always said if you believe in waiting periods for guns, you goddamn sure should wait for waiting periods for abortions. Because just because you buy a gun doesn't mean you're necessarily going to kill somebody. Because what we need to understand is when somebody has an abortion, you are killing a baby. Okay, I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm not going to get out of the moral side of it. But you have to. The reality is you are taking the life of a living being of some sort, right? So anyway, all right. City View ISD board censures. Yeah. A member for sharing closed session recording. Right. I hope that the censure is kind of a bullshit thing, but I hope they press charges on this. So just let me set the stage for people. When you're an elected official or an appointed official, because you and I fall into this, when you are governmentally appointed or elected official, there's something called the Texas Open Meetings Act, and it's a very serious thing. In other words, if you try to hold a meeting with a quorum, which means the majority of the people on the board or whatever, outside of the agenda and outside the board, you could be held criminally liable for that. Okay, but there's a thing called closed session, and it's where you go in and things are discussed and debated behind closed doors, and generally it's personnel, it's legal matters. And it's tax or property, purchase of property, real estate, okay, real property. And there's reasons behind that because you're talking about very sensitive things. Now, you cannot make decisions in that. All action must be taken in open session. Right. But you can't go out there if you have, let's just say you're a school district and you have an employee who's doing something wrong. It's not fair to the employee or anybody, just like you can't go blab it. Right. So you have to talk about it behind closed doors. And then if you decide you want to take action against that employee, when you come into open session, you take that action, okay? So that is a sacred place. And you have that closed session has to be sacred because everybody in that room has to feel like they're comfortable saying whatever and for this discussion. Well, this lady recorded it.
Right, which they approved, apparently. What I read was that the board approved her to record it.
I don't think you could do that.
Well, that's what
I still don't think you could do it.
What happened was
then she shared it.
She claims, she read a whole statement.
Yeah.
She claims that it was her child.
Yeah, well,
accident, but then there was apparently a list
where she shared it to somebody else.
Yeah, she was supposed to share it.
Yeah. So anyhow,
either way,
this lady's off her rocker. She should not have done this. It's absolutely wrong. If I was on that board, I would be rip shit mad.
So let me ask this question: does that mean? Is there some sort of record though of what happened? Is it sealed up or?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Yeah, you do. You take minutes inside there. Your board secretary takes minutes, and then it's sealed up. Because I used to be the secretary on the board, and now Diana is on hospital board. Okay. And yeah, she signs it, she seals it, and she writes it in. It can be opened by court order. Right. Okay. So that it can't. So that can be opened by court order. But the fact of the matter is, this person violated the law, violated the trust of all the people, and then she claimed that I didn't know. Hey, you have to take, when you are an elected official or an appointed official, you have to take board training, the Texas Open Meetings Act training. You have to do the training. She's obviously had done the training, whether she did or didn't, but you have to retain that. Right. It's not up to everybody else to retain your thing. And first off, it's called closed session for a reason. Why would you think it's okay to share closed session stuff? Anyhow, I'm glad they censured her, even though the censure doesn't really mean anything. And I think they're talking about turning her into law enforcement, and they ought to do that. If they do not, they're not doing themselves justice, and they're not doing the system justice.
Now, let me ask the question: does the board have to actually take an action now that it's public?
I think they have to do a referral.
They have to.
That's I don't know for a fact. I know that was what was reported. So anyhow, alrighty, moving on. On his first day of work as comptroller, Don Huffines, our new comptroller, pledged to support Governor Abbott's plan to eliminate school district property taxes on homesteads in Texas. I don't know what the plan's going to be. There's a lot of money, and I know property taxes has been a big deal. And number one, if you don't know who's on your school board, you probably ought to pay attention and vote for them or vote against them if you think so, because they actually are your number one taxing entity. Outside of income tax, your number one local taxing entity is your school district. Look at your tax bill. So many people, though, they have mortgages, and it goes in their escrow account or it's paid out of their escrow account. They really never see their taxes or don't study it. But when you look at it, if you live in a city, county, could be a hospital district, could be a water district, school district. And the school district's always going to be the highest tax rate or the highest tax dollar amount. So I don't know what the plan is. I hope they don't do a consumption tax. That's something that they've toyed with. Consumption taxes would absolutely kill businesses that are close to borders. In other words, we already have an 8.25%. You go over to Oklahoma, their sales tax rate is already lower. So you already have that. But if we went to like a 12% tax rate, and Oklahoma's it, you would be out of business. I would move my business to Oklahoma. Seriously, I'd move across the border to Oklahoma. You know, which sucks. Then all of a sudden, all the taxes I collect would go to Oklahoma. All the the money that my employees spend, a lot of it would go to Oklahoma. So that would be a bad idea. I don't know what the plan is. It'd be interesting to find out. But
go to a consumption, it would be a sales tax.
It'd be sales tax.
So then, if they had to do that, they have to do that's a constitutional amendment in Texas, isn't it? I would imagine.
Possibly so, yeah. I would imagine. But so we'll see. But Don Huffines, the new comptroller, has said he's all in on reducing property taxes. And look, I'm okay with reducing property taxes if they can find a better place to get it. If it's oil revenues, if they can find something that they can absolutely replace property taxes, I would be all for it.
Now, one of the problems with this, so that would be a significant chunk of tax money that the school districts would lose authority over.
Exactly. But what they would do, and I don't know how they would do it, but like before, when they've done property tax rollbacks, they hold the school district harmless. Right. In other words, you whatever school district, whatever we took out of your property taxes, we're going to give you that money. The state's going to give you that money. But so it's a different funding source.
When they set budgets and things, that's unique to that particular school district.
Right, exactly. You have a historic record of how much they've collected. I don't know the algorithm or the formula, and I don't want to claim to know, but I do know that they did hold the school district harmless and stuff. Okay. There would have to be a revamp of the way you fund public schools.
And or a transition, period.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, the transition period. I've said for years, I would be all in favor of eliminating the Department of Labor I'm sorry, the Department of Education on a national level. But what I would say is, for 3 years, what you would do is you would basically fund the school districts for 3 years at the exact same level they've been funded for over the last 3 years or whatever, then close the Department of Education. But that way, they have time to transition. It's not going to be just an overnight thing, because they have people that are in place that the only reason they have a job is for federal grants and stuff. Well, you'd reassign those people, and you could find ways to absorb it, but you just can't do it overnight. All right, the last item we have before our guest gets here is the Wichita Falls Planning and Zoning Commission has approved a request for the data center. It's the old Food Lion on Central Expressway out there, across from Walmart.
It became a call center, right?
Became a call center. That's correct. It was Food Lion built it originally, and they're they're rezoning it so they could become a data center. Yep. And so. Now, this isn't the city council has not voted. This is the Planning and Zoning Commission. They've approved it. The city council still has to vote on it, so it's not already done. But what they're saying is they plan on using 12 megawatts of electricity and about the same amount of water the average household uses per day. I don't know how they're going to do that. During construction, the company expects to hire 200 to 300 people, and the project cost will be about $100 million. And it's been in the works since 2023. This is the one that we talked about when it first came out, or the first hit the news. And then they're saying after construction, they expect to hire 15 to 25 full-time people. And those are good jobs.
So this isn't a huge one, but it's in an existing location.
It's going to be using an existing structure, and maybe I think they're going to build some more to it, but that's going to use an existing structure. There's some property. I'm sure there's some available property around there. Okay. Look, we've had Tim Short in here. We've had a lot of people about data centers. I know there's a lot of stuff out there, but in the end, if a business comes in and buys a piece of property and it is legal to run that business, I don't really think the government needs to be stepping in and telling a business what they can do with their property, as long as they're running a legal business.
Right. Well, and I think really the thing about it all is we need to have in place, and that was not that we got caught off guard, but it was just inexperience of what are the issues. And I think that the city council has been taking all of the input from all and learning from other places.
Yeah.
And so we just don't, but they have to pass ordinances that, lighting and noise, that are different than they.
And you hold them to those standards. It's one of those deals. If they're using more water, you shut their water off. If they're using more electricity, you shut their electricity off. If they're making too much noise, you go up there and start writing them fines, or whatever it is. It's one of those deals. But if you want the city to grow, we have to bring in some sort of industry, and we can't bring another Howmet in. They're not knocking down the doors. So if the data center is what it is, let's bring a couple in and see what happens. I mean, honestly, do you think we're going to bring a data center in, all of a sudden all the water is going to disappear at one time? No. I mean, let's use our brains a little bit, or all of a sudden, no, we don't have any electricity. No, you can easily put guardrails. You can put a big old valve and say, hey, because the city controls that water, they're buying it from the city. We're going to shut you off. We go back there and shut you off, and now you're done.
Right.
Come on now, use your brain.
My bottom line is that let's consider this, and I think, although I know Donnie is not the school board itself, but I'm sure he has probably an opinion on maybe how to make use of this windfall of potential, the property taxes that are going along with this. So,
all right. All righty. As we said, Donny Lee, come on in, superintendent. Give him some applause there.
Yes,
there you go. How are you this morning?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
there we go.
All right. Donny Lee, superintendent of Wichita Falls ISD.
Now. We've had you. This is number 3 or 4?
This is 3 or 4. A lot of declines, I guess, before you get down to the bottom of the barrel. but here I am again, 4th, 5th time. Always happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
This is your what school year? Because you started school with the WFISD.
This is year 5.
Year 5.
Yeah, in 25th year in education. So, big year for us.
And real quick, give just a real brief update on where you started and your educational career to make it to Wichita Falls.
Yeah, I was in Longview Pine Tree to start. I was football, basketball, track coach there. I went to Palestine, Westwood. This is all East Texas, by the way. And then I went from there to Bullard in the Tyler area, and I was an assistant principal there, team leadership coach. I became a high school principal in Frankston, for those that are familiar with that area again. And then from Frankston, I became a superintendent in Oakwood, Texas. This is in Palestine. We had 200 students, by the way.
All right.
That's pre-K through 12. And then we took a trip down to southeast Texas, oil refinery country, to Buna, near Beaumont, superintendent out there. And then for about 3.5 years, and then Wichita Falls.
So I bet you've driven a school bus in your life.
You bet I did. As a superintendent, I did.
Yeah. But it's like superintendent in a small school plus a coach.
Oh, my
especially in those small districts like that. The coaches are driving the buses and everything. Even Wichita Falls ISD, the coaches drive the buses.
They drive buses. But, I drove buses for many years, all the way up until I got to Buna as superintendent. So I was lots of late nights driving a lot of bus routes.
It's got to be funny. I mean, growing up in Wichita Falls and being in a school district that's a lot bigger, it would be strange to walk out there and Dr. Carr and I and be driving the bus when you pick you up to go to Kirby Junior High. You know,
that'd be a problem, probably.
Yeah. If the superintendent at WFISD is driving the bus,
times are tough.
Some bad stuff has happened.
We have our oldest the bus driver was.
No, that was a city bus driver.
Oh, that was city. Oh,
yeah.
Never mind. Okay.
God. So anyhow, real quickly, school started yesterday?
School started yesterday.
All righty. And how many students roughly? I know we haven't hit our number. How many students roughly do we have?
12,600 roughly. Yep. And so what we've been seeing over the last 5 years is a just slow decrease in students, about 200 or so, and the majority of those are going to homeschool. But right after COVID, we were hitting 500, 600, 700 losing. So we're hoping that thing is plateaued, but we'll find out about day 20 when we get everybody in. The classrooms are kind of leveled out. After Labor Day, people, start coming back to school. So we'll see.
What's the day? What day do you call it? Whatever number is going to be.
That is called Snapshot Day, and it's the end of October. Yeah. So wherever you're at there, that's what counts for everything. That's UIL numbers as well.
Yeah, UIL and school.
Yep.
Yeah, school money, reimbursement from the state and everything.
All
the whole
of
thing.
it.
Snapshot Day is a big day in school districts.
That's a big day. That's
and
right.
you want to make sure everybody is there. Yeah.
Yes.
Do not be sick that day. Don't Yeah,
that's right.
That includes the future school. The
Third Future? Yeah, that's everybody. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because they are our kids. Right. Okay. And a lot of people think, you just gave them to third. No, they're our students, our building, everything's ours except the staff.
Well, they're zoned. I mean, they're kids ours. That are zoned. That's their homeschool zone or their school
exactly
zone.
Right. Yeah.
So real quick, Third Future, it's expanded. It was at Hershey Junior High, which is so hard for me to say, but it's hard for me to remember. Hershey Junior High, and so it's now been expanded to how many more schools? 2
more. So those are your feeder, 2 out of the 3 of the feeder elementary schools. So now we have Southern Hills Elementary, and we have Booker T. Washington Elementary. The only one that's not is Burgess. So both of those feed into Hershey, and so instead of waiting until they're in 6th grade to try to get those academic gains recuperated, we're going to do that in elementary now at Southern Hills and Booker T.
Okay. Well, since we're on Third Future, what was the assessment with a year in our rear view here, and you guys had time to assess and look at numbers and all that? What is your assessment of it? I mean, obviously it couldn't be horrible because you wouldn't expand.
No, we wouldn't expand. We got A through F accountability ratings came out yesterday, or actually the day before yesterday. They released to the public like right now at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so
breaking news,
yeah. Kirby Middle School, now Hershey Middle School was an F for year after year after year, which was the whole point of the TEA intervention. And when ratings and scores came out yesterday, they were 78, 2 points away from a B. Unbelievable progress.
All right.
Yeah.
So you clap. Yeah. Seriously, that's amazing.
Incredible. We were really optimistic that it would be that good, but then to see it is unbelievable in year 1. So they're on their way to a B next year, which is something unfathomable. Like they have never even been a C before. They've been an F and D every year. So that's why we included Southern Hills and Booker T. So now they get that early on. And when they get to Hershey, they're on grade level.
But what people don't understand is 2nd grade reading scores is so profound. The kids reading on grade level that
you're absolutely
when in many states, when they figure long-term plans for prisons and stuff, they take that number into account. Literally, there's other numbers. There's graduation rates and all.
You bet.
But think about it. When somebody is planning prisons for 50 years from now or 20 years from now, they look at second grade reading scores in an area, and that's how profound that time period is.
Yeah, and if they're not reading by third grade, you're behind the rest of your academic career. And so if you can't read, you can't do math, science, social studies. So it's a big problem.
So I'm just curious, how long is it? So when do we come out of COVID? When did everybody get back from COVID, back in the schools?
COVID was in 2020, and they started trickling back in the next year, 2021. But then asynchronous learning had taken over and it had grasped real tight. And so schools like ours around the state have never fully recovered from that.
Right. So how much of that plays into the challenges that resulted in you guys getting the third future schools?
Yeah.
Back into
I mean, that played a factor, I'm sure. But, Kirby had been struggling since 2016.
Yeah.
And so COVID wasn't the issue there, but it didn't help the rest of our district because, asynchronous learning and people wanting to go homeschool, and the attendance problem has plagued us and school districts around the state. And when I say attendance problem, I mean, used to 96%, you remember as a school board member, that was kind of the standard. 96%, you were almost kind of upset that you had 96%. Now, 92, 91, 90% at campuses is kind of a thing.
Because parents aren't being parents.
That's
I'll be honest with you. I don't, and I've said it on the school board. I'll say it right here. Parents have quit being parents as a whole. And I don't mean everybody, but there's so many of them that have just let kids do whatever the heck they want.
Yeah, that's right. And then we're seeing that a lot with and when they're not in school, they're missing 1 and 2, 3 days of math.
Oh, that's big.
Big problems. So we see that. So to answer your point, it's been a big factor.
So okay, let's talk about the two other high schools, or the two high schools, not others, the only two high schools. Now, last year they had weird gradings, and you came in and explained that it was really a jinky. I mean, I actually got irritated.
Yes.
And I was upset because I was like, that is such an unfair, I hate that word, but unequitable way to do things. We're just going to hold you to the standard because it's part of the rubric, even though you can't face it. So now that you had a year and you don't have that hanging over your head, how did the schools do? Yeah,
so just a quick background is we didn't get CCMR or graduation rate for either high school.
CCMR is?
It's college, career, military readiness, and that's 60% of our grade.
Yeah.
So it'd be like giving a test, and it's 10 questions on it, and 6 are already put an X on them.
Exactly.
So you can only get a 40.
There was no way,
So we were in big trouble there. We had to eat it for a year, basically. Legacy was an F. Memorial was a D, and it made our district look horrible. So results are out today. Parents will see that. So Legacy went from F to a C, and Memorial went from D to a B. So there you go.
Applause.
Yeah. So we did two-letter grade games, which is what we were arguing that whole time.
You really should have been.
That's what it should have been to begin with.
That's where we should have been anyhow.
That's right. And so we were very happy now that that's behind us. We've got that letter grade on our high schools. Hershey's a 78. Bar-wise is a B. Ryder's a C. We have no secondary campus below a C. All C or better. So we're excited about that. The future's bright.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Now, changes in buildings. Now, McNeil has become a elementary school.
Yes.
It was in junior high for so many years. And is this the first year that it's been opened? Okay, so it just opened up as an elementary school, which I always thought would be a good idea for a big elementary school, the way it was built. And it was built similar like Kirby was, where part of it was a pod system to where you could put walls anywhere you wanted to.
That's exactly right. That's what we did. We opened it up yesterday. I started my morning there to see how traffic patterns were going to be across Barnett and Southwest Parkway, and they looked great. And you're exactly right. We potted it, so kindergarten isn't over there with the big fifth graders and all that. And we put a huge STEAM center in there where the cafeteria was. We built a huge library in where the open space library was at McNeil.
Right.
2 very large playgrounds that are separated by pre-KK and 1st through 5. And so open house and ribbon cutting was a big success with our community.
That's great. Well, I'm glad to see you. I really like utilizing buildings that we already have and refurbishing them when we can. And McNeil's, it was built in the 70s.
Yes.
And of course, and then it had some rebuilding after the tornado.
The tornado got it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we've been busy with building, renovating our buildings, to say the least.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, did Jefferson close? Did we close the school?
Yes, Jefferson closed. We're working through some community partners right now to engage in an MOU lease with them.
Yeah. I will tell you that Jefferson, that's the school that's close to Ryder.
Correct.
It's down the hill. By the way, it's down the hill from Ryder, which means the water flows. You know how water flows? Downhill.
Always downhill.
Jefferson has been flooded God knows how many times.
It has.
I don't know. Even when I was on the school board, you could go in, you could see a water line where it had been flooded out. So it was time. And when you have that much water and that much flooding over time, it's really bad on the foundation. And that's one of the hardest things. When you have these schools, and people repurpose schools, and this was kind of an argument. I had a guy one time when we closed Austin Elementary, and they turned it into apartments. He's like, well, it's still a good building. I go, but there's a difference between a few people living there and a whole bunch of kids running through there.
Right.
9 months out of the year.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a big difference on the way a building gets used. So.
Yeah, and we also renovated, to a less degree of publicity, Zundy Elementary.
Zundelowitz, which is one of the oldest buildings in our inventory.
100 years this year.
Yeah.
100 years old. So we did, we renovated the lights, the ceiling tiles, paint. Most importantly, though, the foundation you just mentioned. So we spent almost $1 million completely just gutting that foundation, building it from the ground up. And so that building's going to be good for years to come. And a new elevator.
Awesome. Well, we did a remodel when I was on the school board with him because we moved pre-K. I think that's what we moved pre-K into there. I mean, added pre-K.
It was a junior high.
It was a junior high.
And then you pulled it out and
moved it
pre-K.
to elementary and stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So lots of renovations going on.
That is great.
District.
So on as far as money, because you talked about money there and what y'all spent in that. What about as far as the potential of this data center coming in, the potential for the tax money and all of that? What is the feeling or what your sense is of maybe what the direction will be with that? I'm going to call it a windfall because if you count on it, you'll have limitations. If you start adjusting tax rates, I know again you don't do that. That's not your job. That's the school board. But if they do that, where does that fall? What do y'all think? Are y'all looking forward to that? Are you hoping? Because I guess y'all work. I don't know. You know the whole business of that. But where do you play a role in it?
Yeah. Well, here's how the financial system works with schools. You have basically two buckets of money, right? And you have an M&O bucket, which is your maintenance and operations, and that pays all of your bills, so to say, your salaries, your lights, and all of that. And then you have another bucket called your INS.
Interest and sinking.
And that only pays down debt on the buildings we just talked about, new buildings. Well, this windfall would be on the INS side only. And so would there be a windfall where there possibly could be, but it would only be used to build buildings, or in other words, go out for a bond, right? And so, we're trying to weigh those factors on the overall community as well. As like, what's the water factor going to be? What's the electricity factor going to be on our huge organization? And things like that. So we don't know. The jury's still out. We're data collecting on that and information seeking, and we've asked them a bunch of questions already. I've met with them twice. And so would there be a windfall? Possibly early, but then it would possibly taper off as years progress. So
and the school board would ultimately make the decision, but administration is really, you think about it, it's kind of like us on a hospital board. Yeah. The school board, everybody's got jobs, and they're not full-time employees. Right. Yeah. So they rely on administration, Donny and his team, to go in there and gather all this information and come back with information and make recommendations and that sort of thing. Right.
So. So we're asking them questions on that. And then, again, we are always wanting to be good partners with community partnerships. And if there's a big windfall, we'd be excited about that.
I'm calling it that because I don't know, and I think there's a lot of concerns about when the data center comes that and the bubble right now, that potentially of this AI bubble. Yeah. That there's all this building, and then once it all settles out, it's going to be a smaller, number of data centers. Is what one part, one group of people think about. But anyway, so that okay.
So really, the way I always look at any kind of, let's just call it a windfall, just any kind of thing like that, those things, when you have that, use them for capital investments.
Right. That's right.
You don't pay salaries with it. You don't put something that's going to be a routine, a maintenance thing that you're going to have to maintain. Right.
Yeah.
You make capital investments. You build a building. You remodel a building. You build a stadium. You build a parking lot. You do those things because they're one-time things. Right. You got the money. You spend it. You improve something, but you don't have an expense there. Right. That's a recurring expense.
Exactly right.
Well, the maintenance of it though. I mean, if you do
well, yeah, but if it's a parking lot, you still have maintenance on it.
Sure.
But you have less maintenance, so it saves you.
But at the same time, if it's like you did with the schools, the new high schools, was that actually, I imagine over time, that's going to pay back money because you don't have the inefficiencies.
Oh my goodness,
that's exactly right.
Yeah, Old High was. I don't remember the numbers because it's been a long time, but I used to know exactly how much every school cost in maintenance every year, and Old High was way up there.
It's up there.
Yeah, when you take an old building, I mean, Hershey and Ryder took a lot of money. But when you take those old buildings and you retrofit them and you retrofit them and you retrofit them, a lot of times it does take a lot of money to maintain them.
It sure does. Electricity bills are hundreds of thousands a year just on Old High alone, which we're still operating. We don't have that electric bill pouring out, but we still operate Old High. Some of the community members don't know that. But
I didn't know that. I didn't know it either. What are we doing at Old High?
It's not for sale because it's kind of a community relic, but our police are there. A lot of our police, we station them at the top floor.
The WFISD Police Department.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So we still have that building there, and it does cost a fortune to just mow it and keep up with it.
Yeah.
But I figure, though, 5 to 10 years, I think is what you should be able to look for in this potential windfall for about that 5. And as you mentioned, it might be even a taper off. Although,
it could be. Who knows?
But the thing is, though, if we're not getting any tax breaks or giving any tax breaks, so whatever that time, it'll be a tax until they pull the
until they pull it.
So,
yeah.
But hopefully not. But hey.
Yeah. Well, something else we added this year, or you guys added, say we. I'm still part of the we, I feel sometimes.
You're still there.
Well, when you're on the board that long, and you got, I still we on the school district stuff, and
your business still pays tax.
That's right.
Well, my business pays a lot of tax there.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. But I still feel like we, So we added wrestling.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I think is great. UIO wrestling.
That's right.
No, we're not talking about WWF.
No.
They're not going to be doing. Hulk Hogan's not going to show up or anything like that.
He's not coming out.
But so this is real wrestling, which has been huge in Oklahoma, and it's gained traction in Texas over the last few years. I don't think when I was growing up there was a lot of schools in Texas that had wrestling.
No.
But over the years it's gained traction. And so what was the decision, or what kind of prompted that decision?
Well, what prompted it was community outreach. We heard from many, many moms and dads that say, hey, we're having to go to, you name it, Henrietta or another district around the region, or we're having to do club only. And so we're trying to think of how can we attract other students, how can we attract families, keep the ones we have, and give everyone an opportunity to participate in extracurricular activities. And it's been a big success once we announced it. The biggest portion of it that was a barrier for us was the startup costs. So you have to have the mat, you have to have coaches, and you have to have a travel budget. So if you're looking at upwards of $500,000 to get the thing going because of all the equipment and everything, but it's been a big success early on.
Well, and you got to travel. I mean, these are big schools. They can't go wrestle City View, or whatever.
That's the issue.
You've got to go somewhere. But so that's a big part of it. Well, I think it's great, and I'm really glad you did, because there's a lot of kids who will benefit from this that maybe play football, or maybe don't want to play football, or maybe they're kind of riding the pine at football. They kind of like the contact. They're physical kids, but they're not necessarily don't want to go out and mess with the football. And,
that's exactly right.
So not everybody. I love football, but it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
I mean, there's a lot of rules and regulations, and
that's right.
There is in wrestling as well, but it's still more of an individual sport to where, in football, you could do everything perfectly, and the quarterback can still get sacked because your other lineman over there dropped the ball, or literally they drop the ball and you lose the deal. When you're wrestling, yes, you have a team behind you, and when it comes to the end of the night, you have to have the team score. But on that mat, your team's not on that mat with you.
Yeah, you're not hiding anywhere.
It's you.
That's right.
All right, I got one.
In a singlet.
Okay, so do I remember correctly that last year was the first year of no cell phones?
That's right.
So how did that? What was the whole year? How'd that go?
Overall, collectively, it went really well. And we didn't even let them have them at lunch. And so when we take a step back, here's a couple key takeaways. One, students would act out, and perform to the cell phone. So I'll give you a couple quick examples would be something like, hey, I'm going to be getting into this altercation. I want you to record it. And so that was pre-planned, which would cause a lot of ruckus. And then, of course, social media would blow up. And so what we did is you're not allowed to have your cell phone out at all, and so which prevented those incidents from happening anyway. So we saw a lot more time on task. We saw a lot more talking at lunch.
Yeah.
And playing games. And
human interaction.
How about
Boom.
that? Unbelievable. So it went well. It was a big success. And so, again, we're carrying that forward to this year.
Well, it's, of course, a law.
It's yep.
You know,
It does help when you have a law.
That's what we said.
Yeah, and then you can create your rules around that.
Yep.
But that's a huge part of school, and it's one of the big things about public school that I've always liked is because you do have a lot of interaction, and traditionally that's where kids learn to interact with people.
That's right.
And you learn, especially at a school district the size of Wichita Falls, you learn to interact with people from diverse. It is not just race; it's more backgrounds. Socioeconomics and that sort of thing.
Yep.
And you learn to interact with people and you get an appreciation a little bit more
Absolutely, you do.
of your station of life or what they're going through.
Yeah. Yep. WFISD is a microcosm of society. You're around all different people, and so that's why we wanted to give them a lot of different opportunities to participate in, to be around a variety of people. And so at WFISD, you have 26 different pathways at the CEC. You have just about every sport you can participate in athletics and extracurriculars.
How is the CEC, the numbers of the CEC, how's that going?
We'll know after day 10, and so our welding program is so booming that we're out of spots for that. That seems to be the hottest one in our pathways.
Spot welding, ironically.
Yeah. So it's going well. You know, our students, we're trying to push them to, the industry-based certification levels so that when they get out, they're already a step ahead. And then our community members can come in, tell them what's going on, and then they have a job as soon as they graduate.
Now, are the two high schools that were built, are they fully functioning? Is everything done in them?
Every single thing's done in them.
Because I know there was some delays on, I think the bistro over at Legacy.
Yes.
There was some equipment delays and things like that. Uh-huh.
Yes,
oh, yeah.
It's top tier. You go in there, it looks like a little Starbucks, but it was delayed almost 6 months.
Yeah, a long time, yeah.
Yep, but we got that done. We had some things with the athletics that were delayed, but everything's up and running. It's beautiful, both of them.
And both high schools have fields that they can compete sub-varsity level.
That's correct.
Varsity.
They could compete varsity, but there's not enough stands.
But football doesn't compete varsity, but soccer and everything else competes varsity at the high schools, don't they?
Everything except football. We do JV down football at their own respective campuses, but every other sport, they've got their own there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a neat idea. I mean, I like Memorial Stadium, and it's nice for a big size like that, but when you have those smaller, you have more neighborhood.
That's
so
exactly
people
right.
in the neighborhood can participate more.
Yes.
Families do struggle sometimes that get off work if you work on, let's say you work downtown and the games at Memorial Stadium.
Yep.
But if you work downtown and your kids at Legacy, game's just right there. It's really close.
That's right. So we only use that for our varsity football games, and we only use Hoskins really when we're going to play each other. Otherwise, they stay at their own respective fields.
Awesome. Now, school board, when you have, how many members do you have that are going to be up for election? I know Susan Griselle has announced that she's going to run for re-election.
Yeah, we have 4.
So this is the big term.
This is the big
you had
one,
3 and 4.
That's right.
So and are the 4 that are up for election, are all of them, have they announced what they're going to do other than Susan?
Yes. So you have Susan Griselle. She is going to run for office again. You have Jim Johnson. He's running again.
And it was in my old spot.
Yep. You have Sandy Camp. She'll be running again.
Former principal at WFISD.
That's right.
Sweet lady.
And then you have Mark Lukert, who will not be running again. So those are your 4.
So you're going to have at least one new school board member that know for a fact.
Correct.
Yeah.
In Mark's spot. I think that's place 2.
Do you know, and he's currently the president.
He's the president right now.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
And so do you know, now when is the cutoff time to file for running, do you know?
Monday, 5 p.m.
Okay.
Yep. So I think it aligns with the city and the city council.
So as of right now, are there any anybody opposing any that you know of?
There's one that's opposing Mark Lukert. I don't know all the
But Mark's not going to run, so it really doesn't matter.
It's just really in his spot.
Yeah.
Not really opposing. But
others, Sandy and Jim and
not as right now. There's not.
Yeah, so. I tell people all the time. It's funny because guy called me who's going to run for county commissioner, and he said, "Hey, I need to come talk to you about running a campaign." And I said, "Never run one." Like, what are you talking about? I said, "You were on school board for a long time." I go, "Yeah, I never ran a campaign." "Why not?" I said, "I was elected 4 times and unopposed every time."
There you go.
Yeah,
Easiest way to win one, right?
Never bought a sign. It is when you're running for it. Yes, you kind of like that. But when you're standing back, it would be nice to have more people that were interested in doing it.
That's right. And a lot of times, though, you'll know this, when things are going pretty well, and they are going pretty well at WFISD right now, you don't have as many people springing to the board. It's generally speaking, when people are irritated, things are going bad, and the board, you see a lot of turnover happen. And so we don't want a lot of turnover. We got a great team of 8 right now. Mark is having to get off of the board, not on his own will, but that was part of the TEA orders. And so that he agreed that he wouldn't run again when his elected term was up. And so that was part of what the TEA thought. Their mindset was, well, this happened on the previous board's watch, so we don't want any of those board members that were there to be on the board moving forward. So that's the issue behind the scenes.
Oh.
Technically, could he run again, though?
He could run again after he sits. So 2 years when I think Catherine's up, in 2 years Diane Scroggins, John Bernard. Those are your other 3. When their seats are up, he could run in that spot at that time. So basically, take a breather, sit this one out, and you can run again in 2 years.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting. This is TEA for you.
Oh yeah, well, and also there are no term limits on school board.
No.
In Wichita Falls ISD.
No.
I think there should be, to be honest with you. But there are none. I think Bob Payton probably holds the record.
Yes, he does.
About 18 years or something. And he did a great job, but
yes,
I'm just saying I think there ought to be term limits on everything. So okay, we've talked about high schools, we've talked about Third Future Schools, we've talked to Career Education Center, we've talked a little bit about athletics. What else can you talk to us about? We want to be sure we're getting the good news out, because I understand what you're talking about. A lot of times, the only time the WFISD or any government entities in the news is when something's bad.
That's right.
And people don't like reporting good stuff for some reason. I don't get it.
Yeah, well, if it bleeds, it leads, right?
Yeah, which I think Ashley does a great job at putting information out there in her group. But you can only scream from the rafters so far yourself.
And when you're screaming at yourself as your own organization, it doesn't have as much power as when others are screaming, as you're well aware. So, no, the only other thing is that I would encourage the community and parents to look on their texasschools.gov today, look at their child's score, look at the improvement that the district is making, look at the trajectory and where it's been since 2022, and then make your own judgments about WFISD. But great team, great school board, wonderful students, teachers, and staff, and we're heading in the right direction.
Pretty good school board. They're not. I'm just playing.
Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, on as far as you talk about the measurement tools, what is it called? The STAR.
STAR.
Is that,
yep.
What's the chance that that's going away? Isn't that still
none? And so it's going to be modified.
I was going to say there's going to be some modifications, wasn't there?
So now you have one test on one day. It's like the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is crazy. It's high stress, and if the kid's sick or not feeling it or whatever it may be, tough. They have to take it. Well, there's a makeup.
There's a makeup test, but
small window.
Yeah.
Now what they're moving to after this next year, not this year, but the next year, is you'll have a beginning of the year test, middle of the year test, and an end of year test. But they haven't told us how each one will be scored. So is the BOI more? How is it transferred from, is it BOI to EOI? We know none of that. All we know is 3 tests are coming. And we like that.
I was going to say, I don't think so.
So we're hoping that it's just an average of those 3, or your growth from BOI to EOI. That would be makes the most sense to me.
So I'm assuming the school administrators in Texas have been pushing for this for a long time.
That's exactly right. This is what we want. This is how we do our formative assessment now.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what you know today.
That's right.
What do you know middle of the year, and what do you know at the end of the year?
How about that? Imagine that.
Boom, you
know?
know,
it's kind of like a game in the scoreboard. You see what you're at in the first quarter, second, all the way through. You don't just turn it on in the fourth quarter and go, oh no, I'm behind. Well, that's kind of what we do now.
I just remember as a kid, it was the ITBS, the Iowa Test of Basic Skills.
Okay.
It wasn't every year; it was just certain time.
In Texas.
In Texas, yes.
Yeah, the Iowa Test. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
all
that's crazy. It was a tax test, I think, when
that's exactly
my kids were in school. I think it was a tax test.
And then TOS before that.
TOS. And well, I'm glad that that's coming along, and I'm glad that you and your fellow superintendents and administrators have pushed and lobbied legislatures to do that, because it only makes sense, because you're right, that STAR test or that even the tax test is like that whole day. It's the atmosphere in the school is horrible.
Yeah,
and it's horrible leading it up to. The anxiety is there, and it's anxiety not only for the kids but for the teachers.
Yep.
And then the parents get drawn into it.
That's right.
It's just ugh.
Yep, and so teacher incentive allotments played a role into this, which is how the students perform on the test depends on how much they get paid on TIA. So there's a lot of things riding on it, a lot of anxiety, and now if you have 3 tests, at least you can kind of get a measure and a gauge on where your students at and how they'll perform.
I think it's a lot better as a coaching tool, as an educational coaching tool, to know where you are and where you're going, because that way you're not waiting till the end to find out. If you start now we need to intervene with this student on these skills, and then in the middle, Johnny did great here, but he's slipping over here, so let's get, or maybe Susie needs some help.
And also, I think to be fair to teachers too, in some cases the challenges are in the kids, and they have a harder job. One teacher has a harder job with a certain population of students versus another teacher.
Of course,
and
absolutely.
So the improvement level, and even that is not all in the teacher's hands,
Yeah.
So I think that's. But anyway.
When you have kids, and we do in the WFISD. When you have kids who don't have food at home, maybe don't have electricity, the example I used to use when I would have parents that were griping about something at the school district, I'd say, let me tell you something. Your kid's going to be fine because you care.
There you go.
But if your kid or my kids went home and they flipped the light switch on, they would freak out. They get on their cell phones, call mom or dad, what's going on here? We have kids in the WFISD, when they go home and they flip the light switch on, it doesn't come on, go, Mama didn't pay the bill, Daddy didn't pay the bill.
Here we go
They don't
again.
even think about it.
Yep.
They just don't even think about it. It's
right.
It's just part of the culture. Open the refrigerator. Matt, there's no food in there. Yep. Nobody went to the grocery store. And so I always encouraged people to keep that in mind when they were upset about something that was maybe a little bit nitpicky, that your kid is fine.
Yeah.
I promise you, they will make it through this.
Yeah,
because there's kids
right.
that have a whole lot worse circumstances than your kid does.
Yeah, that's right. We have many campuses, 90% and above EcoDis, meaning 9 out of 10 kids are on free and reduced lunch. Yeah, it's a big issue.
Sounds good.
All right. Any other good news?
I think that's it. We're hard at it. Day 2. We've got all the kids back safely yesterday, so we had a successful day 1. Year's off to a great start, so we look forward to a good 26-27 school
All the
year.
bus routes all worked well?
They all worked well.
Okay.
That's right. Had a couple minor issues, but
isn't that always a yearly?
busing is the
Dude,
number one issue.
when I was on the board, like the 5th or 6th year I was on the board, we switched bus companies. Oh my God! that first 2 days, Reggie Blow was organizing every church in town that had a bus or a big van to haul kids to school.
Oh,
it was
gosh.
crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, Donny Lee, congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your 5th year.
Thank you so
I mean,
much.
that's a
Appreciate
good amount of time being here, and congratulations on your success. I mean, it was school district was in a little rough spot when you got here.
Yeah.
And that's never has that ever happened where the situation a school district was in that didn't have the whole thing just thrown
No,
out?
first time in Texas history. So we were thankful for it. We're thankful for the TEA for giving us this opportunity. But yeah, they could have taken us over, and then you just look at Fort Worth or Beaumont or Lake Worth. It's an absolute mess. So we're glad to have local control.
Yeah, well, I think it's always best.
Yeah, always best.
It's always best.
Yeah.
All right.
So thanks for having me, guys.
Donny Lee, thank you very much. All right, and let's go ahead and wrap it up here real quick.
So everybody, we'll see you next week.
David Spiller is going to be in with us. State Representative David Spiller is going to be in with us. Going to talk a little bit about Texas legislature and what's coming up in the next session.
Okay, and then look forward to, we're going to start practicing for our special, the Hunter in Hell, and then that next week at the Art Walk. So
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
start-
Thanks, Donnie.
That's what our plan is. So we'll see y'all later then. And as Mike always said, we'll see you down